Hey Soul Fam, Psychic Amy here. I wanted to pop on today and talk with you about the 4 key characteristics of the dark night of the soul. If you have not heard me talk about this, I've done a previous video on it. I will link it in the post below for you. So there are 4 main characteristics of the dark night of the soul. The first one that often comes to mind is a spiritual dryness or emptiness. That is one of the things that commonly is associated with the dark night of the soul, a profound sense of spiritual barrenness and loss in one's faith or spiritual practices. Another key characteristic of a dark night of the soul is inner turmoil. This is a really, really big one. There is an intense emotional suffering that often goes on with the dark night of the soul. It's usually the sign of a struggle happening between the old version of self that you've been operating on and the new version of self that is trying to emerge. There is intense emotional suffering, despair, and often a feeling of being lost or abandoned by the divine. Another characteristic of the dark night of the soul is purification. Despite the difficulties that the period of life that the dark night of the soul can bring to you, it often serves as a cleansing process, stripping away the illusions, the attachments to the ego, all of the things that were not serving you, making way for a deeper and more authentic relationship, not only with the divine, but with your own true and highest version of self. One last key characteristic to dark night of the soul is transformation. At the end of all of the struggle, my friends, there is a light. And that light is transformation. Oftentimes, the dark night of the soul leads to spiritual renewal, significant transformation in one's life's beliefs, resulting in a more profound understanding and connection, again, not only to the divine, but to your true, authentic, and higher version of soul. Regardless of the context, the dark night of the soul is typically described as a very painful yet necessary part of being human. It often leads us to a greater spiritual depth, insight, and just an overall more authentic sense of joy and fulfillment while you're having the human experience. Let me know if you have or are experiencing any of these key components of the dark night of the soul.